Good morning. Morning to anyone who is here. I'm streaming both to my Facebook and to my YouTube, so feel free to join me from anywhere. This is sort of a pop-up stream that's mostly a result of some organization in my craft group I've been doing. I've been trying to sort of redo most of my storage so that the stuff that I use a lot is close at hand and the stuff that I don't use a lot is farther away. And as part of that, too, I'm trying to use things that I've had for a while, which includes the topic of today, which, this thing is chunky, is this guy, which you can't see because maybe I can zoom out here quick. Let's see. In portrait, this is harder to see, but let's move over. Look at here. Okay. So this is the Bria cut and emboss machine. As you notice, it's kind of set up a little bit differently than the Spellbinder's Platinum 6 that I know and love and just died a cat-related death. Hello. I am live, Stamper Girl. How are you? Good morning. I think I'm live anyway. We'll see. Yep. Oh, that's cool. I can't pull up your comments. I know how to technology. Anyway, so there's a couple things that are sort of unique about this one, but we'll get into it. As you can see, I haven't opened it at all, so we may have to, this may take a while because I probably want to cut something, and I do have to read the instructions. But this is the 6-inch one. They also make an A4, which is like an 8-inch die machine, which if you're going for if you cut bigger things, especially like 3D stuff, that can be nice. I've never had a need for it, but we shall see. I have watched videos on this, and this is, as you can tell, well, sort of. This is the kit version. I don't think it says it on the front. Well, if I go over here. So it says that there are 15 pieces. Basically, that means there are dies in this, too. Oh, goodness. Marker down, I think. Oh, well. But let's open this thing up. As you guys might know, there's also a Gina K machine that's built along the similar lines as this, but this was the one that I got for Christmas this year, if I can open the box. But it's been sitting around on my floor, and I came across it while I was cleaning up, and I thought, hey, why not check it out? And then I said, why not take a peek? So there's a couple things I want to look at as I unbox this. My friend Lynn got one of these for review, and when she got it, she said that the machine itself was fairly dusty. So I'm curious if we will see that. Here's the machine. This is unfolded, but let me grab all the stuff that comes with it. Hopefully instructions. Let me put the styrofoamy bits back in the box, and then you can just put our wrappings back in the box. It's funny with my cat having more areas. They're now lounging in the newly cleaned out areas. Anyway, this I'm going to put to the side. This is a steel rule die. Basically, this is designed for cutting fabric primarily. I've never used one, but like the Biggs dies are kind of like that too. Hey, Dawn, how are you? Good morning. I'll actually be on Dawn's channel. That's Monday, I think. I think that's Monday. I feel like something is happening on Monday that I didn't think was happening on Monday. But I think Art Yahtzee might be Monday. Sorry, next month. Is Monday next month? No, I think there's an interceding week. But I feel like I just signed up for something on Monday. No, I'm not remembering when it is. But anyway, this is a machine. This is what you get with it, which is all the plates, and we'll see how good the instructions are because I'm not the world's most instruction reading sort of person. But anyway, long story short, like the handle finally broke on my Platinum 6, so that guy is no more. So I'm not seeing any dust on this. When Lynn reviewed this, there was a lot of machining dust, but I see none of that. So I think that may have just been a side effect of it, the version she had being, you know, more of a refurbished one, and this one is new. Anyway, let us see what we get, and then we'll read the instructions. So there's a platform, which you wouldn't use with a steel rule die, but I'll be using because I use the smaller ones. There's a single cutting mat, and this is more like a magic mat in terms of its feel. Like, it's not hard plastic. It's much more of like a self-healing cutting mat. Like you can see I can bend this. So I'm going to be curious to see how it does with warping. We have an adapter for steel ruled dies that I don't think we'll need. We have some cardstock that came with it. Kind of like a Michael's weight, probably 67 pound. Some nice pastel colors. I think these are to sort of test the die cutting. It's kind of a nice thing to put that in the box as well. We have a little heart embossing folder. This is a very thin embossing folder, just FYI, and we have some circle dies, which I'll put those to the side because I can grab a die I have already. But this is a lot thinner. Let me grab another one. So this is not 3D one. This is the like steel plating one that I played with on Alive fairly recently. Okay, so the July 30th. Yeah, July 30th is that. Man, I can't remember what I'm doing Monday because I feel like I had something I was doing Monday now. Like I signed up for something because I was like, oh, I never. Yeah. And we're renaming July to Lisa's birthday month. So this is my grid pattern that we played with. As you can see, the one included is a very thin embossing folder. It's even thin by so it looks like Bria's embossing folders are just very, very thin. Like it's very bendy. Which obviously if you put a plate on it doesn't really matter, but good to know. Things to test out later. I don't think we need the steel ruled die plate. I will put that by the steel ruled die, but that's the adapter plate. Did you notice there's only one cutting plate? So sort of the uniqueness of this particular platform is that I should probably grab some dies. Let's see. Why don't we play with the beach dies I've been saying we were going to play with forever because we can cut these out. Okay. Ooh, my new organization system. Things are close at hand. Anyway, this is ocean, palm tree. You get the thing. This will make this, and then these two will make a little lifeguardy shack. This will die cut out the actual stamped image of the lifeguard. Anyway, you get the gist. It's a lot of beachy things. And we can try out some of the coordinating dies too to see if they fare better or worse. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the sort of strangeness about this is normally, you would grab. Let me just grab a die for illustrated. Oh, well, this one wants to pop up. So, like, normally the way you think normal machines with a dual plate system, you'd basically grab your paper, put your die down, put your second plate on top, and run the whole thing through. With this machine, what you do is you would tape, if you want to, your die. You'd basically put your die down on the base, put your paper on top of it, put this piece on top. So the system does probably require more taping, especially if you're dealing with wanting to cut something that is pre-stamped. Although you might tape it anyway. Oh, spam. How fun. Bye-bye. Yeah, I don't know. I've been getting weird spam on Facebook lately, which has been basically a lot of, hey, did you know we're deleting your page stuff? You shay a handful. Oh, can I zoom out? Oh, sorry. Zoom out on what, Don? But yes, I can zoom out. If you want to see, the whole plate, I can zoom out. Can zoom out. Here we go. Now we're more zoomed out. Bring this closer. We're pretty good. This is a little more zoomed out if that's easier to see. But here you can see sort of This is almost the same size. This is a 6x9 platform, but this is almost the same size as the Spellbinders one. This is pretty chunky. The machine itself is also fairly chunky. If that's I haven't done a comparative weight, but there are some pretty decent pictures in the manual. Here, let's see. What does it tell us about? Lots of warnings, several languages. So there are two dials on this thing. There's a macro adjust and sort of a micro adjustment, and that's how the pressure gets adjusted as opposed to shimming. That's sort of the, I don't know, uniqueness. It's telling us that there's a handle we need to take out and put on, and the handle is easily detachable. It doesn't have a bolt. It just snaps on apparently. And what I'm hoping is it tells us how to open it. It tells us how to, we probably understand how to open things and how to close it. Oh, you basically pull in and out these panels, it appears, to lock and unlock it. Steel rule dies cut all sorts of things. Cutting dies mostly cut paper and craft foam. Yeah, paper, cardstock, and craft foam, which we knew. But I'm hoping, and I'm not seeing, oh, here we go. So here are the sandwiches. And I think I mostly said this already. But you put the cutting die, you put the paper, you put the cutting mat. I saw there is a fine die. There's a other cutting mat you can buy that's actually metal and magnetic, which I kind of want to try because I can see some benefits to having a magnetic mat, just because then you wouldn't have to tape down every single thing. 2D embossing, you set to... So I guess this has a die cut, a light embossing, and a 3D embossing. So essentially the machine gets wider. The wheels get farther apart as you do that, if that makes sense. And what else do we need to know? They make a larger 9-inch machine as opposed to the 6-inch machine. That's the A4 machine I mentioned. They also make a mini now. I think Chow tried it and found the mini hard to crank, but I have not tried the mini. I've tried the Sidekick, but I haven't tried a 3.5-inch mini machine. Spellbinders and a bunch of other people make them now, so I may try that. I kind of feel like the Sidekick is very, if I have mine somewhere, like the Sidekick is so tiny. I like that it's tiny and lightweight and like can just be around without necessarily needing a home. So that's the information we have, which is basically make sure your macro setting is right. And then it's not covered here, but you can use the other wheel to do that. So let's try cutting some stuff. Since we have paper and we have dies, we'll try out the Bria embossing folder first and then try out the other one. But let us first grab our machine. It feels to me about the same weight as the Platinum 6. Yeah, I apologize. This machine is quite tall. Here's where the handle clips on, but the machine itself is pretty tall. So and when you pull it out, it does have dust, but it has these silicone feet, and I believe that these sort of suction on, kind of the way the Tim Holtz, yeah, because these are like that suction thingy that they have on like the Sidekick, which holds on to stuff. It works poorly on these self-healing cutting mats, but works great if you're on metal or on a glass mat or whatever. And sort of the long-term plan with my craft room, this will be slightly off camera, but anyway, and there's you fold these down basically. As you see, there's a gap here. So to make the suction do the suction thing, you just push it in. That works pretty well. Did it suction? Not really. Okay. Well, that's fine. But yeah, I guess we could try this on glass. I can blind you. Let me just blind you momentarily with reflections. Let's see if it does what it's supposed to on glass or not, because that would be interesting. Okay, so this is the tonic glass mat. So this should be a non-porous surface. Now, not down. This moves around a lot. So if I put this down, and then that makes quite a bit of noise. And I believe these, yeah, you can actually store things in. This probably would have been smarter. I'll show you in a second. But how does this work? No, this is not going anywhere. So on a non-porous surface, this works pretty well. If I pull up and then do this, it moves around again. Let me move this up here and do this again. And I just wanted to show you, like, these things. You could put things in here. I don't know what I would use this for, honestly. Like, it's set up so that you can put the handle in there and then transport it somewhere else. But, I don't know that I would personally have a need for it. But let's move this back to where I can use it. And I will give them the benefit of the doubt and do this on the glass, because I don't think the glare is horrible. At least not today. I believe there's like this is kind of like the Spellbinders. When you open this, it gets a little bit, it says things like handle inside. But that's nice, because I could see somebody calling customer support and not knowing. Because, like, I probably wouldn't have assumed anything important was inside. And in theory, this somehow just sort of locks into position. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe I need to have this not open to lock it into position. Let us see if that is a thing. I believe there's. Oh, okay. So I'm dumb. So there's a springy thing here that you have to pull back to actually attach the handle. Yeah, and then you release the spring thingy, and then it's attached. Okay. An on-screen counter for, like, silly thing that I've done. And this is really not going anywhere. Like I just can pick up my glass mat with this if I so desired. Then the wheels are almost directly under here. So let's try. We are on the letterpress / 2D embossing. So let's try both of our embossing folders. We will grab, let me cut this in half here quick. I guess I will need I think I need my plate for this as well. So I'll put that there. And I guess I can just cut this, because I don't think we're going to use any of this, but I'll use their included cardstock, because why not? So I think test one will be, they have a heart embossing folder, which is hard to see. This is a little long, so I'll just trim this off a little bit. Yeah, so this is basically a 2-panel size. So I just trimmed this down, and we'll see. Now I'm just going to sandwich this in here. And in theory, I don't think I need anything else. I probably should look it up to make sure. So if I go to I wish they had put the cutting guide, like, printed it right on this main block, because I can see this is going to take a little while to remember. Cutting. 3D emboss. 3D emboss uses nothing. 2D emboss, you need the cutting plate. Okay. So I need to put the plate on, and so I'm just doing my sandwich like that. Now this is rolling through. There's very little resistance going on. So this doesn't feel like it's doing a lot. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to do all of these with one pass, just to give it a little bit of a run for its money. And yeah, you get the emboss on this is pretty deep. I'm not seeing any cracking, which is nice. I mean, I would expect their included embossing folder to work. So, I mean, it's not binding. Okay. Don't know what it's not binding means. But anyway, so this came out pretty well. Let's try another company embossing folder and see what we see. This one is a little bit longer, so I don't really have to trim it. Don't know if I have a 3D embossing folder. Oh well. Um, but this one's thicker, so I'm curious how it will crank through the machine. Uh, yeah, this definitely feels like this is too thick. So what I'm gonna do is go to the fine adjusting, and let's just. You just have to push into turn. Let's put it sort of midway between loose and tight and see how this feels. That still feels really tight. Let's loosen it all the way. So this is the most fine. Yeah, this still feels like I'm going to break the machine, which is unideal. So let's put this back to 0. Let's just switch this to 3D Emboss. Let's see if this rolls through. This feels better. A little more, it feels like I'm using a little more pressure. Okay, but let's see how it worked out. This didn't warp at all. This also didn't warp. So it seems like it's got a very deep emboss. Wow, that looks fabulous. This came out better than most of my embossing. So I think the moral of the story is like these Stampin' Up! Or Spellbinders embossing folders that are thicker probably all need to be rolled through because this isn't, I don't think this is a 3D. I'm pretty sure this is not a 3D folder. It might be. It doesn't say. Okay. I have no idea. We can grab the ocean one we were playing with and try that out as a concept, wherever that is. Here we go. So we can test it with like a cut emboss as well. This is also a not, I believe these are not 3D embossing folders though. So I am a little surprised that the machine is tight, although that is something of a fixable problem. And what we can try and do, what I'll do on this one is if I mean, you could do this without the cutting mat as well. I mean, that would be another option. Actually, let's try that. Let's try this set to the way it's supposed to be set and just don't use the cutting mat and see what our results are like. So let me put that back here. Now if we just do this, I'm just going to do this unshimmed. It feels like it's doing nothing, but I'm curious. So unshimmed, it does nothing. So that's good to know. So let's pull this back and put it back on 3D. This is still set to the 0 point with the fine embossing. Put this back in. See how this goes. Again, like getting it in the first time is tricky. Whoops. Yeah, getting the front end is a little tricky. This isn't warping too much, which is cool. My embossing folder didn't warp too much. Yeah, I didn't get too much warping on this. I am getting a very, very deep emboss. Oh, I just dropped this on myself. Pretty deep emboss. I guess the question is if we we push this in and like if we make the machine as loose as it can go, what is our result? And just for, if I had a 3D folder, the 3D folder would basically, oh, this is a lot easier if we put it all the way down to the easiest. Of course, you could shim this, but to my mind, that kind of takes away from the whole point of the machine if I basically have to shim it. I can see that this is warping a little bit, so I should probably flip it over next time. This was a lot easier to crank through. Still a very deep emboss, so happy with all of this. There you go. Now you can kind of see this is the emboss was quite deep, so the embossing I think works well. So let's, since this is the cut and emboss folder, let's cut another one of these down a little bit and see if we grab the cutting piece. Perhaps we can see how our cut and emboss together works. Whoa. And don't drop this on your foot. It's really heavy. It's like nylon essentially. Is nylon what I mean? I don't know. I'm just gonna lock in my, let me see. Here, I think I'm gonna put this to the side just so I can get those the two sand dollars. And then I'll leave this the same from a sandwich standpoint. I would definitely recommend doing this lower pressure setting because it makes the machine a lot easier to crank through. So you can maintain sort of a more consistent speed much more easily. This looks like it definitely cut. Yep, these cut out very nicely in our little half. I don't think I'll use this, but I mean, these came out the way they're supposed to. Whoops, here we go. Now I'm on camera. It's a little, that's kind of bright, but here from the side you can see. Got pretty good emboss and deboss on this. And then I have this piece left over, which I will trash because it's not really good for much. So I think that is a win. I think it's a lot tighter than the Platinum 6. At least in my initial testing. Machines tend to get a little bit looser as you use them over time. So there's that as a potential. Let me just put my folders to the side. And let's just grab a die and see how that works out. Here's my die that I was going to use. Too many things on my desk today. And that actually is something that came up when I'm curious if I'm going to score this thing up doing this. But anyway, so I'm going to put my die down. I'm going to put my paper on top. I'm going to put my cutting mat on top of all of that. Since this isn't like an image, it shouldn't matter. I'm going to put this to the die cut setting, which is all the way towards me. And this is fairly easy to crank through. I'm not feeling like I'm feeling when I'm hitting the die, but this is sort of like our original run with the included embossing folder where it doesn't feel particularly tight. And then because I forgot to readjust it. But let's see what happened anyway. So it looks like we got a perfect cut. I still have this on loose. I can put it back. Let me put it back to center. Now, one thing I would like is if this bottom wheel was like indexed, so you could actually, know that you're on like position 2 or whatever. So even with this set all the way to loose, I may just leave it on loose because, like, this die cut perfectly, and so I don't know why I wouldn't need any more pressure than that. Um, so I am happy with this. I guess the other thing we could test, if I have one at hand, let me see if I have a cover plate die somewhere, because I think that would be a good test for this as well. Let me put some of my stuff back together, and I think I know where I have a cover plate, so I can grab that. Yeah, I do like it. It seems like if you had a folder and it was just too tight, it seems like you'd often be just putting it down the 3D emboss setting, which I mean is not the end of the world. It just sort of seems a little, I don't know, counterintuitive. This is actually something I'm probably going to be destashing, but it is a cover plate die, which is close at hand. And all I really need to do is, I'll probably continue with the same paper. Or maybe I won't destash it, because I feel kind of bad about destashing something I actually, like, opened up and used, but maybe I shouldn't. Oh, yeah, I was just grabbing a die gem. So, I'll grab another piece of this blue, and we'll just sort of, I'm just going to rough cut this to size. This is I believe this is a 4 by 5 1/4 plate that it cuts. So I'm just going, just cut a little off the side. So this one I will flip. I can see why having a magnetic mat where you could just line this up and like obviously what I'm doing now, it doesn't really matter a ton, but so let's see how this feels. This is pretty easy. Yeah, even at sort of center, the fine adjustment doesn't change it all that much really. So I think that, and this should be a pretty good test because this is a fairly delicate cover plate. But seem to have worked fine. Whoops. Let's kind of like the magic mats. You can't see obviously where this is being cut into. I mean, I'm sure that you could just replace it by this with a 9x6 magic mat pretty easily. And this cut perfectly fine. So let's see. I can move the machine because I think this is really our last test, because I don't know that I have anything further to test. It definitely has been doing what it says it would. So that I think is a win. I'll just pull this back in so I won't blind folks. And oops. So many things. Something is under here. I don't know what it is. Alrighty, there we go. Oops. Sorry about that. You can zoom in a little bit. Whoa. You can see this a bit better. Where did I put? Oh, here it is. Like, where on earth did I put my? And here's the first die cut we did. That came out pretty easily. This one is going to be more of a pain because of all these wee bits we have to weed out, which I'm gonna just hold the die in here just to hopefully get the majority of these out. Definitely, it feels like I don't think I would necessarily buy a new machine for any of the features here. I do think not having to, like, shim things is kind of a plus, but I guess it depends on how big of a deal that is for you personally. Uh, but I can tell by weeding out these little pieces that, there's a couple left, but I can tell that this cut really well the first time, which is nice. I mean, it's a brand new die too, so I would kind of expect it to cut pretty well. So I think we can just pop this guy out, and then 'cause I had this out before. Let me just there we go. Sometimes it just needs a good whack. Some of the looks like everything cut. So I don't know. I'm kind of actually impressed how well this cut. This has been cutting. This cut way better than my Platinum 6. Oh, there's one little piece here I need to weed out. Go boop and boop. Oh, and one here. Let me just get rid of my extra bits. But I don't know. I think it definitely works. I have an extra magic mat, so I don't know that I would need to buy additional plates for these per se, because it's basically just a magic mat. Because it's a self healing cutting mat. No, I don't know. I guess that's something that's worth pointing out, which is it like depends if you like a manual machine or not. I guess I will put this in my stash now that I opened it up. And I think it's a cute cover. Like it's a cute cover plate, right? Like you could see this being a good. If you just put a big sentiment on top of this, it would be kind of neat. I guess you could do it in white and do like your little lifeguard scene on it too. Really, I mean, you could do like a. The beach dyes are more set up so that you basically cut the lighthouse here and then there's a bridge. So lighthouse, lifeguard shack, and then like if you've seen these things, so I may play with this because I kind of want to try that out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I would give it. I think it does everything that it does. I think if you want a powered machine, I think everybody has been saying the Mini Empress is fabulous. I have not tried it myself. I don't have wrist, shoulder, or arthritis issues either. So, but I will say when I was cutting for not my kits, but when I was cutting for that crop and had to do 50 kits, like you really feel the die cutting after a certain amount of time, right? Like if you're and I was using my sidekick, but it's like if you're cranking through like 100 things, it's definitely noticeable. Yeah. Do you want the mini Empress or do you want the full size one? Because I've heard good things about both of them. I don't know. I'm always torn. Like I like the idea of a mini machine, but then I'm sort of like, well, there's a lot of stuff. Like I'm never gonna cut this thing on a mini machine. So it's kind of like if I'm gonna need two anyway, I don't know that uh, I don't know. I'm always like a mini machine would be nice to have, but it also is sort of I don't know if I'd ever use I don't know how much I would use it. Although I find that I use my sidekick all the time. Um, Mostly because there's things like this that obviously you can cut out with a mini machine. And like this is a lot of the size I do for like an A2. You want the full size. Yeah, I mean, I feel like sort of like buying die cut machines generally. It's like buying it at least in A5 as your starting point. Maybe an A4. Like if I didn't own, well, I could have bought an A4 Bria or put that on my Christmas list, I guess. But um, I didn't run into a ton of situations where I needed a bigger die cut machine, but like I wouldn't mind having a larger one, just especially a larger one that did steel rolled, so I could play with some of those Eileen Hall box things because they look super neat. Although not that I need to buy $60 dies. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the only The only time I've used my extended plates has really been for mini slimlines. I think they're about 10 inches. I don't think they fit on a 6x9 mat. I think I would need an extended mat that's 6 by. I think they make a 6 by. I don't know if Bria makes one, but I mean, you could get a magic mat that was like. I guess you'd have to get a bigger base plate too, but I don't know. I don't do many slim lines enough to justify plates just for that. Wow, that's a pretty good deal. But I don't know. I think that's all I have for you guys today. I will plug my friend Lynn is releasing new dies, and there's going to be a bunch of streams over on her channel, which is LV Handcrafted, which sometimes Nightbot puts in the channel and sometimes it doesn't. Actually, I can just grab it quick. Why don't I do that? I can be like a professional YouTuber with links and stuff. If I can type. LV Handcrafted. Where are you? One moment. There we go. Anyway, there we are. Here you go. So that's Lynn's channel. She's gonna stream twice today, I believe. She's streaming earlier than normal. So normal is 2 o'clock Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. She's streaming earlier than normal to sort of promo the new die that she's releasing. Well, I guess Not Too Shabby is releasing technically, but she designed. And that's all up for pre-order on Not Too Shabby site. I haven't looked at the pricing yet. The original was $30, so I'm thinking the bundle is going to be kind of spendy, but if it's a thing you use, it's probably worth it. I found I didn't reach for my die a ton of the time, actually. Like, I feel like it's one of those things that's cool to have, but one of my friends actually had that similar experience. Who is it? The people who make the gnomes. Jaded Blossom released sort of a similar idea too, where you have basically some dies that essentially cut a 6x6 piece of pattern paper into chunks. And I think Teresa had a similar experience where it's like, hey, I've had this for a while, and like don't use it because I often just reach for my paper cutter instead. But anywho, thanks for dropping by. I'll probably be in the chats over there, and then I think at 4 the normal stream is playing with the first Easy Wonder die, which I do have, which it'll be interesting to see if that. I will try running that through the Bria machine. I think it'll be perfectly fine given how it cut these other things. I mean, I think not enough pressure is not a problem this machine has. It's sort of more on the other side, kind of like the Gemini, where it's like, well, like it's more like you don't want to warp things or break things. So anyway, good talking to you guys. I will check you later, and I'll be live on Sunday per normal. And great to see you, Don. Great to see you, Delise and Jim, and anyone else I missed. If you have thoughts or you want to see anything specific cut on the Bria, feel free to leave any notes in the comment section, because I'd be happy to do any tests with anything I have on hand. Talk to you later and have a fabulous Saturday.